Good morning. It's the 25th of November. I am Joe Neighbour from Signal Centre. Just me today. Steve may be joining shortly, but until then, I will be running through the latest market highlights and running through some charts for you all today. So, expected to be a bit of a quieter day today. It's the US Thanksgiving holiday, so happy Thanksgiving to anybody in the US today that is celebrating. Typically, when this happens, we do see some muted activity in financial markets. Obviously, the US markets will be shut, so there'll be no activity in those markets. But obviously, US dollar is very pivotal when it comes to foreign exchange, and therefore we could see some muted price action there as well. In terms of what happened yesterday, we had the FOMC meeting ahead of the holiday in the US, and officials at their last meeting were open to removing policy support at a faster pace in order to keep inflation in check. Obviously, the December CPI number is going to be well watched. Expectations are that's going to be above 7%. So, pretty huge. And obviously, the FOMC are expected to act. They are expected to do that sharper or quicker than originally anticipated, particularly if inflation does continue to run higher, according to the minutes that were released yesterday. Since the meeting last month, in fact, the data on inflation has worsened, and Deutsche Bank said it now expects the Fed will accelerate the pace of tapering at its December policy gathering. So that could create some volatility. Markets have opened a bit higher today, certainly in Europe, off the back of a bit of a corrective move in some of those over the last few sessions. Not much else going on really from a macroeconomic perspective. We do have an appearance today from ECB President Lagarde and the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey. They making up the main events of note today. It looks like Steve is joining. Hey, Steve.
Sorry about that, mate.
That's all right. How you
It's
doing?
a laugh, isn't it? Running
Yeah.
about in the night, driving people about. Well, I didn't drive, Tina drove, so.
Oh, okay. Good old Tina on her birthday. Or was it
Yeah,
after
happy
midnight, so it
birthday.
wasn't her birthday anymore?
Well, technically, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Stop
3
milking
o'clock.
it, Tina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Don't, she might be watching. Oh, no, she won't. She's asleep now. So.
Oh, yeah. Poor thing. I just gone through the highlights of the market, Steve. Not a lot going on. Obviously, we had the FOMC meeting yesterday talking about tapering. Haven't done it yet. Market expectations now they're going to do it in December because inflation looks like it's going to top 7%. So,
Okay.
pretty big numbers there. Not much expected today to happen because it's the Thanksgiving holiday. So we can take a bit more of a relaxed look at some of these charts, I think, today and see what we've been left with as we go into the holiday period, and probably what we can start gearing up for maybe next week and start planning that far in advance. So I'm going to start off with FX just to give you a chance to
Yeah, okay.
get yourself sorted. You need to share your screen as well.
Yeah, I'll share the screen, then you can take over with yours.
So we're starting off with FX. So yesterday we saw further strength in the dollar index, as you can see there by that green candle, continuing to push higher. Things are a little bit muted today. We are trading with inside of the price action that we saw yesterday, so an inside day as it stands. Still looking for a move up to that 61.8% fib level at 97.72, which is also the measured move of one of these double bottom patterns that we projected or have been projecting for a number of months now. So all looking pretty rosy on the FX side of things from a dollar index perspective. Of course, that's not going to be the case if we flip that over to euro dollar. That continues to slide lower quite aggressively. Yesterday, we saw new lows, and we are posting a bit of a gain today. Actually outperforming the dollar by 0.25% at the moment, but no signs of that slowing down. I think any corrective move to the upside is likely to be temporary, and probably just getting a bit of relief today from the fact that it is a US holiday. Ultimately, expecting price down to 110.58. It could easily go much lower than that, but that is the measured move of this head and shoulders top pattern that we've got drawn on this daily chart. If we take a look at cable, that broke down to new lows yesterday, the lowest that we've seen it, well, we have to go all the way back here to December last year, actually. So the lowest that it's been for almost 12 months. Breaking below that support at 133.53. No sign again of that slowing down. A bit of the previous support, which has now turned resistance from yesterday. So expecting that we may see some selling creep back into that today. But again, be aware that it is obviously this US holiday. If we take a look at euro sterling, that continues to bumble around these lows. We did see some increased ranges in the pair. It's still holding above this 84.02 level, which was the previous low that we posted back here on the 27th of October. But we've got some more relevant lows now down here at 83.80. So while above that, there is scope for a corrective move to the upside within this bearish channel, but overall the price action looks negative, and I'm looking for a move down to 83.00 and then an extension of that down to 82.75. And we have to go back to these levels here back in December 2019 and February 2020 for when those levels were previously relevant. So looks set, I think, to head down to those kind of levels pretty soonish, really. Taking a quick look at some of the riskier assets, Aussie Yen, quite an interesting one. I've got an inverse head and shoulders pattern drawn here. I did have a top pattern drawn in previous to that, so overall price action looks pretty choppy. But we have seen a move higher to hit new highs at 86.25. We've seen a very nice pullback into this sort of cluster of support levels that we've got on the chart, and it seems to have done a pretty good job and stabilized things. So there is potential for a continuation higher. Overall, the trend still remains quite positive. If we just scroll further back to the left, you can see the dominant trend remains bullish, but there has been some choppy price action in recent months. If we take a look at dollar yen, that's been one that's been certainly on my radar now for a while. We were looking for higher prices. We saw a big impulsive move up to test this huge resistance level at 114.36. If we scroll back to the left, that level has been relevant for a number of years now, going back to 2017. We saw quite an impulsive break above that. What we did see in recent weeks was a bit of a consolidation here, which to me looked to be forming a bullish flag. We've seen a nice breakout to the upside. We've seen a nice technical pullback to see a retest of the broken flag, and now we've seen price continue to move higher. So it doesn't appear to be any slowing down of that at the moment, and that's obviously a combination of this dollar strength that we're seeing and this rout really that we've seen on the Japanese yen for a number of months now. I did also talk about the US dollar versus the Turkish Lira earlier in the week because we've seen some pretty unprecedented moves in that. This is the daily chart. The day that I mentioned it was back on the 23rd of November, so on Monday, where we saw, I think, a 10% move higher in the dollar versus the Turkish Lira. So Turkey, we're talking about cutting interest rates again, really trying to devalue their currency by the looks of things. And obviously, President Erdogan has come in for some criticism as a result of that. But yeah, some massive moves in that currency. And the volatility hasn't shown any real sign of slowing down. We did make a new high yesterday, but we closed lower on the session. And at the moment, we are pretty flat as things stand. But you wouldn't bet against higher prices on that at the moment. But of course, at some point, it will top out. And you don't want to be left holding it if you are trying to play this volatility at the moment. So that's it from me on the FX front.
Nice
Steve,
one,
where do you want to start today?
Well, I'll start with cryptos. The sort of sell-off has eased a little bit. We've found support in front of the 50% fib retracement level on Bitcoin. Nice little stall. The reaction higher is sort of like running into resistance. I'm drawing a bearish channel here, which is like, I suppose, inline the sort of like the lower lows, the higher highs, and we've only got 2 points of connection, so get rid of that. We've only got 2 points of connection, so only a tentative one. Don't sort of like rely too much on it, but there is Ichimoku cloud resistance around here as well. So really looking for Bitcoin really needs to get above the 60,000 level, maybe even the 61,500 level to really focus on the highs again. Until then, support coming in around about the 55,000 level. A break of either of those should open up a little bit more of a trend move. Ethereum in a bit of a triangle formation, a couple of points there, a couple of points there, again quite tentative, but we are within the cloud on the 4-hour chart on Ethereum. So everything seems to have stalled. I think this should be pretty quiet. Obviously with the holidays and everything, not expecting a huge amount to go on, but you never know with these coins. Ripple in almost like a ending wedge formation, so that's a slightly positive formation, especially as we've stalled in front of the low of the 27th of October. which is also in front of the low of the 21st of September. So potential now for a little bit of an uplift potentially, but a lot of resistance to get through. For me, 95 remains a solid support level, which hasn't been tested yet. Always around this 105 level seems to be quite a congested area over the last sort of like 3 or 4 months. If we do manage to get above 115, then it could open up the upside a little bit more again. Cardano, again, a little bit steeper bearish channel, doesn't look so clever for me. I think we'll find resistance up at 180, but the support goes all the way back really to this peak we saw in July, and the resistance we found in August. And when we finally broke through, we had this exponential move higher. So I am expecting to find a little bit of support down around about the 150 level in Cardano. Commodities, oil remains in the bearish channel. We did have this sort of uptick that we talked about yesterday. It's potentially forming a bit of a bullish flag. Really need to get above 79.20 in the WTI crude oil to really open up, but you'll still have this downward trending resistance and the cloud resistance. So needs a serious break and a close above there to shake off this negativity that we're seeing. Otherwise, we expect a gentle move lower on the WTI. Brent crude looks a little bit more positive, but only marginally still in the Ichimoku cloud. So I expect to see this resistance hold at the moment. You see the momentum slowing down, obviously, but it is a flag formation, which is a bullish formation. So really sort of mixed on both the WTI and Brent overall. On gold, we stalled in the end around about 1780 and reacted higher overnight, really. Expecting resistance around 1796 to 1800, which will be psychological. Above that, 1812 to 1815 should form decent resistance as well. That still pressure on there, but it looks like a little bit of respite. We've had this morning doji star type formation form on the 4-hour chart, so that's slightly more positive, but I wouldn't hang my hat on it really at the moment. Indices, take a look at there. We've got the FTSEs still quite positive over the last 48 hours, and again fighting through resistance here, but I think again it'll be a tough challenge today. 73.15, we've got the cloud capping the move up, and really need to get above 73.30 for me to bring the upside into a target. On the downside, we've reacted from 7200, which is a nice round psychological number, and yeah, we're forming a bearish outside candle currently on the 4-hour chart. Still got an hour to go before that completes, so potentially a little bit of resistance coming in that might be worth a look on the talking bull. It's my talking bull yesterday, which I was getting all excited about halfway through the day, Joe, but then all of a sudden 2 o'clock turnaround, the US came in and I suppose put the mockers on it. But yeah,
you managed
was
to
getting
get
quite excited.
quarter of an hour out of it.
Oh, right, okay, well, not so bad, but
No.
yeah, quite disappointing. But could this be setting up again? We've got a bit of a hanging man candle on the 4-hour chart. Let's get rid of that resistance line. Hanging man candle on the 4-hour chart after a nice uplift. It's just we've got a MACD crossover, so that's slightly positive. So it really, I'd maybe wait till 10 o'clock to really get a feel for where this is going to go. It feels a little bit too early. If we get the MACD crossover, a little bit of positive momentum coming in, then this could light up. Yeah, but we've seen the US turn around quite sharply, and the Dow is above the resistance, which was 35,930. It's trading just below it actually at the moment. So the resistance seems to be holding, and we've got this cloud resistance. We'll also have a trend line resistance. Let's draw that in. Coming in there, it's quite nice, 3 points joined. It's coming in around about there. So really, and if we take out the 36,050 level, that would also form a high here. So, and that would get us up above the cloud. So, yeah, potentially feels like we're in the next hour or so, we should get that trend. But you know what it's like with the US markets when they come in, they normally have that uplift. With the holiday today, you're not going to get
Won't
that,
be coming
maybe.
in today, will they?
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get that. Little bit of a double bottom on NASDAQ, which is interesting. Just taking this point here and this point here. Neckline from there would be at 16,360, which is above, and that would basically create a measured move target of, say, around roughly 16,584. So again, not far away really now. That's what that, so that looks quite constructive, if anything, on the NASDAQ side of things. S&P, again, quite a nice projection in the last 12 hours, and it's just really finding its feet in this hour. It's waiting for Talking Bull to get off air, and then it's going to sort of like have its move, I'm sure. Aussie 200, quite choppy, slightly in a positive frame on the 4-hour chart, just quite constructive. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So that's, but we've still got to clear maybe 7,425 to be even more constructive, and then target the highs up at 7,480. China 50 hasn't had a great time over the last 12 hours, so that's turning negative again. Hang Seng just bounced off this quite decent support at 24,450. Really needs to clear 24,865 to really be slightly more positive. So doesn't look too bad really. Looks a little bit head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulder like. So maybe quite constructive there. And the Nikkei has been positive as well. So, but it all feels like a little bit of a taking a breather, I think, for the indices. Yeah, that's about it on that, Joe.
Nicely done, mate. Okay, so as you've said, it is the, or as we've said, it's the Thanksgiving holiday today. So we need to be a bit more selective, I think, with our trade ideas today, because there's going to be a few markets that aren't going to do an awful lot. Yesterday we had trade ideas on going long of dollar yen. Made 32 ticks on that, or 1.14 R. So a couple of wins in a row on that one, which is very welcome. And Steve, you had a small win as well on DAX, which is the third win in a row for you. So nice little bit of form on these ideas. Hopefully we can keep that going today in what's going to be potentially a quieter session. I don't know if you've got anything ready, but given that it is the US holidays, I'm avoiding anything linked to the US dollar. I'm also avoiding anything with regards to US indices because they're not going to be trading, although you might see some futures markets that are printing some prices. There's not going to be a whole lot of volume. There is a speech later from ECB's Christine Lagarde. So using that, I'm going to try and find some volatility from what she may talk about. And I've actually highlighted an opportunity, I think, in the French market, in the CAC 40.
Nice, nicely pronounced as well.
Yeah, so, or just if you're from Essex, it's CAC 40, mate. Yeah, so just looking at the daily chart, this seems to have sort of lost a bit of momentum. I know there's some sort of non-legged candles that have been formed there with dip buys have come in, but in the absence of the US markets, as we talked about, and the fact that we've got the prominent Christine Lagarde speaking today, maybe there could be some volatility. So looking at the intraday setup, as you can see, we've got a bit of a short-term downtrend going on here. We posted a pretty nice looking outside candle at 7 a.m. this morning. So I'm going to use that as fuel to get short, and I'm going to sell it here at 70.67. So let's get short there. Quite a tight stop, only 28 ticks, 70.95. It is in front of a round number at 7100, but nonetheless, I'm going to go for that anyway. I'm just going to target a move down to these lows, just
Nice.
shy of 3R on that one. So let's see how that plays out today. That's my trade of the day.
Cool. Nice one, mate.
What do you got?
I'm going to go with you on this, although it's instead of I'm going to look at the UK 100, or as they say in Essex, the FTSE mate. I'm going to get short here. What's it? 70. Oh, 72.96. Stop at 72.16. Targeting 73.16. 4 to
Lovely.
1 risk reward.
That'll
Yeah,
do.
just this bearish outside candle on the 4-hour chart with the resistance and the indecision we saw before that. I'm sort of thinking, yeah, let's go short, baby. I know it's linked to dollar in a way, but maybe the dollar sort of like will have a listless day to day, and
Yep.
this will be influenced by people realizing how bonkers Boris is.
Yeah, bonkers Boris. Yeah, okay, wicked. So we're all sorted then. I don't think there's anything else to add. As we've said, again and again, it's US Thanksgiving celebrations. So just keep an eye out for that ECB President Christine Lagarde speech and also Bank of England Governor Bailey today. I haven't got any times associated with those. So just be on your toes, I guess.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, mate.
Cool. Have a great day, everyone. And we'll be back
Cheers.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Goodbye.